morning, sunshine.
Welcome to the real world. Whoa! Mortgage your house and buy Bitcoin with free air. There's no second best, okay?
GM. GM, 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 GM. Today is Friday, 25th of October. This is trade of the day. As BTC rallies up after having hit these lows overnight. So came down, grabbed liquidity, reversing, moving back up. In terms of bullish versus bearish paths, we really need to see some kind of attempt to retest higher before understanding this most probable next move for BTC. And the way I would see that is, just looking at the data here, is there much happening with spot buying and futures buying? Not so much. Most of this move, as you can see, was led by a future squeeze. If you're looking at the CVD, the red line. Push up, mostly in futures. When you look at spot, not much, kind of flat. Since then, pretty sustained spot selling throughout this, and then future selling as people get stopped out who chased longs. So a pretty balanced market, which makes sense. So if we look at the high time frame daily, like I mentioned, BTC needs to make a new high, right? Make a new high above here and close at 70, close at 70.5, close at 71. That really confirms, well, has the highest probability confirmation of a continuation then towards 74, 75 all-time high, somewhere in that area. And that would be a successful hold of the bands. The thing with the bands, retest, right? When you retest the bands, you're supposed to go to new highs. If it goes to new highs, then you're expecting the bands to hold on drop back. If it does not, if it bounces into the bands and it can't hold them, that's an FTR, failure to return, lower high, whatever you want to call it. And that's when you can see a higher probability sell-off. So how's it going to look in a bearish path? Well, the bearish path is going to look like something like this. So if you zoom in, I've shown it here. You're going to essentially see price be unable to make its way above this level. And you're going to see Bitcoin probably roll over like that and then break down. Right? So if it fails at the highs, it comes down, it comes into the lows, it holds them, it retests, it hangs on, then it drops. Right? So there's your bearish path. What you'd be looking for today then would be Bitcoin to move back towards the highs and either sweep them or retest or whatever and be unable to get above. If it does that, what I would be looking for is this 4-hour market structure here. Right, this is the H4 market structure, as well as the daily open, which is the dotted black line. So if we can't get above, or if we get above that, and then get back below it, somewhere around there, that's your first sign. And then you've got your second structure level below, which would be like your double confirmation for a move down lower. Now, on the bullish side, so let me put that off to the side for a moment. I'll just hide this and I'll take all this away. You know what an under over is. An over under. And let me change this as well. Just want to make sure it's a bit easier to view. Okay. All right. Now let's get our 4-hour trend bands. Here we go. So BTC is going to be bullish from here. We've dipped down lower than you would like to see it. I said at the start of the week, if you go back to my Monday write-up, which I did in Trading Analysis, for the strongest consolidation, you would not have wanted to see BTC go below the 50 EMA at all. You would ideally like to have seen it hold the 50, push to new highs, and then consolidate within that range. So what the most bullish path would have looked like is something like this, where it holds the 50, it makes a new high, it comes back, and it consolidates and chops around and lets the EMAs catch up there, and then pushes on from there. We didn't see that. We saw continued weakness, and then we've bounced back up. The problem with that is it's going to follow that path I said, where I don't like below 67, and I don't like the bounce after, because that's the bounce that people feel comfortable to buy. Right? You either want the high tight consolidation with no deep pullback, which is like something like that, or you want to see something much, much deeper, which we're probably going to get if it rolls over. If it rolls over, it's probably going to make its way down lower, and then when everyone's taken out, that's where it actually bottoms. So, not a bearish path, by the way. I think this is very much setting up bullish. I just am hesitant to say this is the bottom, because it looks great, V reversal into the highs, but here we go. We're starting to see some weakness into the highs. And what happens with all the longs that are building up with stops down there? That's my view and what I'm looking at targeting. So, anyway, if BTC is going to be bullish from here, holding this level, you really need to see it come back up into this area, back up into the retest of the highs, and then hold on any kind of downwards retest somewhere around here. So if it's able to come into the highs, pulls back, is able to hold at a higher low, come back up, once price is there, that's when you're starting to look at this being a really good bullish setup for BTC. I think it needs to test both sides a couple times. So we have set a low. I think that you will do very well to exercise patience here for some kind of retest. Either that's going to be a double bottom retest of the lows, which I see as unlikely in terms of a bullish setup, or something like this, where it comes back towards that 100 EMA, which it held, and forms a higher low on the 100 EMA later on. And that's probably going to be like early next week at this point, I would guess. And that'd be the area I'd be looking at for a continuation. Because if it happens today, right, if you see this just roll over today and going into the weekend, that's probably likely then just actually move lower and chop around and have to form a bottom at lower prices. So is Bitcoin going to make a lower low? Or is it going to form a higher low here or a double bottom or whatever? That's really the operative question we have now. I think that we have resistance above, which is going to get retested. It has already been tested once. I think people shorting into this are probably going to get squeezed up. We might go not all the way. We might just go into a lower high. But I do think the reason why we're bouncing here is that the market sold off a little bit quick, and going into the New York session is probably going to push back up. Question becomes then, at that point, is this going to form a higher low? That's really all I'm looking at. And that's the area that is most important to me. And if it holds that successfully, starts to build itself back up through the range, that's when you're looking at November breakout, start of the month, going to the election. Let's go. That's how I'm looking at it. So trades, if we get into the lower time frame, it's holding the 15-minute EMAs, right? So the 15-minute trend is holding for now. And you can see this here, right? And should that continue to hold, I think you'll see the market most likely be able to consolidate and push higher. Now, if this 15-minute trend gets lost at all, so if it tries to go up to the daily open, which is 68.1, which is where you want to be watching, daily open retest, and falls back below, you can see this as a downtrending structure on the 15-minute. It is holding the 15-minute trend. It is trying its best. It's not really showing much impulsive strength. It's kind of just chopping higher from it. So anything that loses this 15-minute trend, if Bitcoin gets below 67.2 in the near term, talking today or over the weekend, that's when you're looking at a reversion all the way back to the lows, where it then probably chops around before making, a further low. So how that would look, 15-minute trend, if it holds, will be this path here, right? It will hold, it will consolidate, it will move up. Very simple. If it is unable to, maybe it gets a daily open and rejects off that, right, and comes back and loses that level, I think what you're likely to see there is a drop down, right, into these lows, back into all of this support, all these positions unwind, and then price holds, it doesn't break down right away, and chops around before eventually making that new low. And that would be what I'm looking for. And down here, once it reaches that point, you're looking at then, does a bottom form for us to start pushing higher. So those are the paths I'm watching for. Daily open above is an important level to watch in a retest. 15-minute bands will be your kind of low time frame confirmation because we have a 1 hour uptrend that's just reclaimed 50, 100, 200. We're already in a 4 hour uptrend. So the 15 minute is the one it's trying to hold on to. If it's going to make a new high today, it's going to have to hold that 15 minute trend. 5 minute trend is still bearish and it's just trying to cross itself back to bullish. So this is still a corrective move. And then beyond that, you good trend. Daily trend, up, good. Daily uptrend, 12 hour uptrend, 6 hour uptrend, 4 hour uptrend. So you have most of the higher time frames in a bullish formation. So there's no reason to be majorly bearish here. The question is just where do we go today? And that's all going to be denoted by the daily open retest and the 15 minute trend. Can it hold? That's what I'm looking at. And that is it. GMGM. See you later on the live stream, 4 p.m. UTC.